Hey everybody, welcome to this week's Star Report. This is Jason here at my house, not New Dimensions, Crystals, and Rarity, doing this week's Star Report. It's Star Report for October the 9th through October the 15th. So let's jump right into it. If you can't tell, I'm not going to be in the shop all week. So let's jump right into it. We start with the sun. There has been two X-class solar flares that have erupted from the sun. We should begin receiving, they did have CMEs, we should begin receiving CMEs from them probably this weekend, starting around Thursday or Friday. They are not necessarily large CMEs, but just like the last couple of eruptions that happened last week, they should produce all the way down into Texas. Even Houston News was reporting that we had auroras. When they get farther south, they're not going to be those green cool ones. They're going to be more red shifted ones, so they'll be more red in color when they get down here. Of course, when we have CMEs and solar flares, they cause trigger in sort of heart palpitations, mood disorders, anxiety can sort of feel like it's coming up. And then one of the things we might want to be paying attention to is that increased solar activity does increase storm power. And so that is something to watch out for as storms continue to rage in the Gulf of Mexico. We are currently in the sign of Libra this week. And Libra is really going to be affecting our kidneys, our bladder, our adrenals. So a lot of the energy that we might be feeling is a little bit of fatigue, a little bit of reset of our adrenal glands. And so you might want to, you might experience that as sort of like a sugar crash or something like that. We're currently in 6 retrogrades today, because today there's a new retrograde I'll talk about when we get to Wednesday. And so we're in 6 retrogrades. Pluto for at least a couple more days. And Pluto in retrograde is just helping us find our hidden power. It's helping us release our old hurts and helping us to accept, basically who we are and what we've done. Right, so no longer going, oh, if I would have, if I could have, but this infinite potential of none of that. I don't say none of that matters, but none of that needs to be holding you back necessarily. Also, we are in Saturn retrograde until November the 15th. Saturn's really about your authentic occupation, being recognized for being talented in the areas that you choose. Let's see. Yeah, that sounds about right for that. Neptune will be in retrograde until December the 7th. Neptune's really just helping us find our spiritual path, sort of unifying that spiritual understanding of ourself. Ooh, weird things going through the screen. And moving that into our physical reality, right? So it's the merging of 3D into the soul level stuff. So some people might call that merging into 5D, but we don't necessarily know the number of the dimension, but it's good sort of description because it helps our little brain reach out and contact our larger soul. Also, Chiron is in retrograde until December the 29th. That's just helping us recognize some of our childhood patterns, right? So if we're still 48 years old and in some kind of childish pattern or a pattern that we sort of recognize was given to us by our parents, maybe those aren't as clear if your parents are still alive, right? You're still living out those patterns, but if the parents are no longer in the picture, for my case, for instance, they become clear of those patterns that were instigated or highlighted with them. Let's see. Chiron's also about erasing the limits, right? So we only go as far as our parents let us go, right? And this is a mind thing. This is not like they're demanding, but this is like, hey, my mom was this successful, my dad was this successful, therefore that's my plateau, or I can go slightly beyond. Sort of the same understanding as that idea of generational wealth, like each successive generation is going to be slightly more successful than the next, right? And of course, at least monetarily in the West, that's not necessarily true anymore. So just sort of those limits, erasing those limits, right? Just because the statistic says so doesn't necessarily mean that's true, right? So Chiron helps us move past that. And really, Chiron is also talking about our worthiness, right? So we might have this sense where we can discover that we actually are worthy of better things and good things, and not feel put upon or arrogant for thinking that, right? So that's a good energy to have. Also Uranus until January of 25. And Uranus is really the expansion of what's possible. What's possible in this reality, what's possible beyond expectations, right? So think of richest person in the world, what can they accomplish? Strongest government in the world, what can they accomplish? And then there's things beyond that. And this is beyond, secret programs or things of control that might be like there's something even beyond that. And we have, according to Chiron and Uranus, the potential to sort of reach that. So sort of think outside of reality, not necessarily outside of the box, because a box is in reality. Cool stuff. And also today, Jupiter goes into retrograde until February of 25. And that's really about planning career. Sometimes that can be an expansion into a home-based business. Really the idea of Jupiter is about practicing abundance, right? So that there isn't a limited supply, therefore to be successful you are not limiting somebody else. It's not like a limited slice of pie, like there's an infinite stuff to be abundant with. And so pay attention to that. Which leads us into today, Wednesday. This is Jupiter going into retrograde today. You may feel even more fatigue coming with Jupiter's retrograde, going along with the Libra adrenal gland thing. Like I said, it feels like a sugar crash, a caffeine crash. And so the idea is for today, what kind of pattern do you set when you push through those kinds of things where you get done what needs to be done, right? And that's going to be the power that's sort of welling up with Jupiter, that the economy can't limit you, your job can't limit you, your familial expectations from birth can't limit you, right? So that's the energy, but sometimes that is a whole lot of shit to deal with in one day. And so that's the fatigue part. Like, I'm so tired, I can't even figure that out. Leads us into tomorrow, Thursday, 10:10. It's 10:10 gateway. Really, you want to spend the day figuring out how you expanded in 2024. And this is sort of a personal expansion, like what happened in January of 2024 and then what has happened since then. Right, and you can sort of notice a lot of personal work's been going on as it seems like the public work has sort of lowered its trajectory, right? So you've grown past the decline of the external world. Ooh, that's a good one. Blah, 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 blah. Let's see. I wrote down lots of notes. Oh. Yeah, so really the energy of Thursday in the 10:10 gateway is all of the things that you've done, what can you make new, right? So this is not necessarily redecorating. This isn't a measuring, right? So this isn't like a outgrowing of a suit or a dress and you get it tailored and you have the same suit on. This is like, what new can you be? Energy of the 10:10 gateway leads us into tomorrow. Not tomorrow. It leads us in the next day after that, which is Friday the 11th. And it's an 11 master day. So you have the power to lead your own life, right? So all of this energy, it starts to give you chances, right? It's kind of like a race that has a starting gun, right? If you don't start today, Thursday's another good day to start. Friday, another good day to start, right? And so if you're feeling one of these days of fatigue or you need to take one of these days off, like there's still that sort of momentum that the universe sort of gives you. Leads us into Saturday the 12th. That's when Pluto does go direct, right? So you can sort of have all those energies of Pluto, which we talked about is this hidden power, these old hurts, right? So when you're not acting out of brokenness or hurt, and when your hidden powers no longer remain hidden, because Pluto's going direct, what can your life be like? Sunday, the 13th, really that new you, that hidden power, really gives you the ability to act as somebody completely different, right? So if you were to move to a new town and be somebody different, what kind of energy like that can you bring with you? Monday, 10:14, we should be able to see, I believe it's Alpha with a number behind it, comet in the northern sky. We should be able to see that at nighttime, right before it was like pre-dawn kind of stuff. So if you were like waking up and looking at, the horizon line, which may have been covered by trees or buildings, you could see it before it went behind the sun, but now it's coming back out. So we should be able to see that in the northern sky. And of course, comets are periodic energies, right? But also the idea of deep space, right? So far out beyond our knowledge, beyond our capacity to sort of touch and feel, right? So there's this energy moving through. So you want to think about that energy when we can see that and get out and do that is something that can really sort of help us expand. And then leads us into Tuesday, the last day of the report. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah. So Tuesday really, when we sort of have that expansion of the comment and all this energy of the week, and Tuesday is really an energy day based on the planetary alignments, which is about clinging to what matters, right? And so this is sort of, maybe you're getting a little bit of this if you're not in the storm affected areas, but if you're sort of watching some friends or you have people experiencing it, or just watching it on the news and thinking, oh my goodness, this is the idea of holding on to what matters, right? So like relationships and stuff like that, right? Is it things or is it relationships? And then what kind of hope do you have too, right? So like this is a weeding out or a culling of what is necessary to live, to do this new you, right? And it might not be all the things that you think it is. Or if it is all the things, then you don't have to pair off as much as somebody in a zone like that, which is affected by storms or tragedy. And then how lucky are you to do that, right? And the second thing is all of that stuff clutter, right? So when you have less things, there's more clarity, right? So if you aren't necessitated to limit yourself, maybe you want to do it on purpose so that you have less things governing or holding you back, right? It's kind of like a heavy backpack. Like, do you need to take all your books to school every day? Or can you sort of leave some things behind and sort of function in a different way? That's the energy of the week. I'll be back in the shop next week. Thank you all for watching. Hope this isn't too weird and it sounds great. I appreciate every one of you. Like and subscribe if you are appreciating this. And until next week, everybody, many blessings.